For example, you've got an idea that there's some fresh tracks heading in the opposite direction to where we're going now. I always find the mornings very exciting, more so than the afternoons, because so much tends to happen under cover of darkness when we snug up in bed. So when you come out in the morning, it's really a clean slate, and we don't know where a lot of the animals could have moved to. Some may have moved off our property, like the Nkahuma Pride, and others may have come on. So it's a new beginning, and always exciting to find out what's been going on. You'll notice it's still quite dull and dark. The sun is yet to rise, and probably in the next 5 or so minutes we could expect to have it peeking over the eastern horizon. And I'm certainly looking forward to that, because even though the temperatures that I let you know we were experiencing a bit earlier, 9 degrees Celsius and 49 degrees Fahrenheit, it's a stationary temperature, and even though we're not driving quickly, it's incredible how the wind chill factor really does make us that much colder. So it'll be good when the sun comes out for us, and also for a lot of the animals. They will enjoy basking in the morning sun to warm up after a chilly night out in the cold. And it often provides us with great opportunities to get up close and personal to some animals that usually would maybe fly off or run off into the bush. They can often be too cold to be bothered and just continue basking wherever they are in the sun. Ooh, this is looking good. This is looking very good. Let me show you what we found. Now, if you look over my right shoulder, you'll see a number of tracks on the road. And these are very fresh female leopard tracks. The tracks are heading, as you can see, in the same direction that we've come from. The leopard that in all likelihood is probably Shadow, and I'm just trying to look carefully to see if a cub is not in, also has not also been walking down this road, but it looks like just her tracks, and they do look quite fresh and crisp. It appears like she could well have come off a termite mound, which is just behind me, before she veered back onto the road, and that's just from having looked a little bit further down her tracks. So now what we need to do is turn around and try and establish where she has gone from here. Remember, I stopped at the four-way intersection and checked quite carefully there for any tracks and didn't see any coming out. So it could mean that she veered off this road before she got to that four-way intersection. Well, while Genre and myself try and establish exactly what's going on with these tracks, it'll be a good opportunity for James to say good morning to you, and I think he might have something interesting to show you as well, so enjoy.
Of this drainage line, an ancient stream cutting a swath down through the middle of Djuma. You're looking at a Varro's eagle owl calling. That's the male. There's a female just behind, being mobbed by a whole bunch of Retz's helmet shrikes. Used to be known as red-billed helmet shrikes. Now they're called Retz's. And they've been flying around attacking these owls, because the owls are obviously predatory birds. You are most welcome to the morning game drive. It's lovely to have you on board. My name is James. If you happen to be a first-time viewer, you're especially welcome. On camera we have Andrew Freddie Mercury, the aardvark, dressed in his traditional bank robbing outfit, which keeps him warm. So we are sitting here in a drainage line, an old sandy stream that I'm sure at one stage used to carry quite a lot of water, but these days will probably flow once only when it floods. And these streams crisscross the Lowveld from the Drakensberg to the Lubbombos in the east, and from the Limpopo River in the north down to the Crocodile in the south. And they are remnants of an ancient sea that used to be where we are. And all along the drainage lines, in the thick bush, you have these big trees, the leadwoods, the jackalberries, the mahoganies, and in those trees, owls like this magnificent fellow here like to sit. I think he's trying to attract the attentions of his partner. He's wooing her with a fairly sort of it's not the most attractive song in the world, but I'm sure to her it is a sweet sonnet. Please remember, we love to hear from you. If you have any questions at all, if you have any comments to make, please send them to #SafariLive, questions@WildEarth.tv. Our plan this morning is to drive this drainage line and just go back to where we saw a female leopard yesterday. We spent some wonderful time with her, Karula, the queen of Djuma, an 11-year-old female leopard, and we're just going to go and see. She had a kill yesterday. I think she's probably moved. I think the meat is almost certainly finished. She killed a bushbuck, an impressive record, and we'll just see what we can find of her. I suspect we may just find her tracks. There's quite thick bush there, but we may be lucky. Spend a bit of time with this Verreaux's eagle owl. It used to be called the giant eagle owl, and you can see why. This is a possible margin. No. I think that's the male. The other one's just behind where this one's looking to. It's quite comical the way they're sort of shaking while they call. It's almost like they're having a bit of a lover's tiff. No, that's always what you said. No, it's not what I said. Yes, it is. I told you not to hunt that mouse like that. No, you didn't. So they will spend their evenings flying about the place, almost completely silently. When one of these owls flies over the top of your head, you can barely hear it. You just hear a little bit of air movement, and because they've got gaps between the fibers of their feathers, and what that means is that the air seems to travel through them, through the wings, which makes them pretty inefficient flyers, but makes them totally silent, so they can sneak up on the rodent prey that is generally their fare. They will take quite big things at night. I mean, scrub hares are and the helmet shrikes have moved on and decided that they are not going to try and do damage. It's a lovely part of the dawn chorus, this. although it's a little bit like hearing two beginner trombone players having a dueling trombone competition. Really is a full body call, that. It doesn't just come from the beak. It does leave you wondering what on earth they could be saying to each other. The talons on that bird are roughly, say 2 inches long, 2 in front and 2 at the back. And if you're a scrubhead and you happen to have that thing grab you from behind, not nice. Okay, we're going to just nip back to Scott quickly. Apparently he's found an incredibly magical sunrise view. Not surprising. We'll see you just now. We're going to stay with these owls for a bit longer and enjoy the sunrise.
Welcome back, and it sounds like you're having a wonderful sighting with James and the owl, so I'm not going to keep you here long. But what a magical morning it is here on Djuma. We found a bit of a vista whilst tracking down this female leopard whose tracks we found a little bit earlier. We have lost the tracks, they veered off into a block, but look at this for a magical view. And I'm looking forward to the warm rays from that sun to reach us and start warming us up. It's that reddish-orange color because there's a lot of dust in the air, and that's typical of winter. And as Jean-Ray continues to zoom out, you'll notice that there are 1 or 2 little puffs of clouds in the sky, but all in all, it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful day here in the Sabi Sands, and it's good to have you all with us. But like I said, I know you're having a great sighting with James and the owl, so we are going to send you straight back over there whilst we continue to track down this leopard. Enjoy, and we'll see you all a little bit later.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Giga. We're still with these beautiful owls singing at each other. Now what I want you to try and do is just watch that one's face there, and you can see they've got very pink eyelids. You can just see at the top of your picture there, very pink eyelids. It's a bizarre adaptation, and I'm not sure what it's for, but when they close their eyes, it's like 2 little pink spots at the front of their faces. It may be an adaptation, actually, that makes potential enemies look like, may make potential enemies think that their eyes are in fact open when they're asleep. Another owl that has a similar thing is the pearl-spotted owl, which has black eye spots on the back of its head, which make it look like, when it turns its head round, it looks like it's got eyes in the back of its head. And I'm sure that's a defensive mechanism.
A brown snake eagle just flew over, I think that's what you're looking at.
Andrew has just identified a brown snake eagle flying over. Andrew, are you convinced it was a brown snake eagle?
It looked like a small eagle, medium size.
I'm most impressed. Hello, Matt in Texas. Nice question. Why are they called eagle owls? Matt, I think simply because they're big. just because they're the big predatory owls. All owls are predatory, but these ones are just the biggest. So there are 3 of them in the country. We've got this giant eagle owl, or Verreaux's eagle owl. Then we've got the spotted eagle owl, which we find here as well. And then down in the Cape eagle owl, which is, so they both are identified by their sort of spots, I suppose. Now, interestingly, when you look at it, and if you can just get in on the head as much as you can, those tufts at the top of the head that everybody thinks of as ears are not in fact ears at all. They're just sort of ear tufts. The ears are set much lower down than that, and they're offset, which means that they're not in the same place. So if you were to basically, if a human had offset ears, one would be higher up than the other. And what that allows them to do is to judge distance with their ears. Because the sound is coming from different directions, and because it's sort of arriving at different places, they can judge distance very accurately from sound, which if you're hunting at night, little things like rodents is very important. We had a nice question here. Do they mate for life? I think you'll find what they do is that they will mate for life as far as possible. If one of them dies, however, they'll probably move on fairly swiftly after a brief period of mourning, say about 10 minutes. But they are normally found in pairs, which normally indicates that there is a stable pair bond that will last pretty much for life. There's another owl calling in the background, the pearl-spotted owlet. The pearl-spotted owlet is about a 20th the size of that giant eagle owl. I'd love to see a pearl-spotted owlet sitting next to that. Now, I don't know if you're able to pick it up from here, but you can see that the feathers are a lot more downy, say, than those of an eagle, which is sleek and designed for high-speed flying. Hello, Ramay. You want to know if the owls hang around during the day. Ramay, they don't normally. What they will do is they'll call like this in the early morning, and you probably find that they'll go into the deeper foliage for the most of the day. Exposed there, and you can just see it's not sleek like an eagle's wing at all. It's got those gaps between the filament. Dangerous lives once they get to the size, but the big eagles, like crowned eagles, which live in the thick bush here, will take them. And I'm just going to have to watch the road very carefully for tracks. Get Andrew to watch the left-hand side. as well as the camera. Has to multi-skill, old Andrew. Don't want him getting above himself there. So some very obvious tracks of a hyena on the road here. Can you smell that? First change in the smell as we've come up onto the crest, and the air on top of the crest here is starting to warm, and it's just created a kind of I don't know how to describe it. I suppose the air feels lighter here. It feels less dense because we've come out of the drainage line, and so I suppose because it's heating up it will become less dense. Oh, that's wonderful. Plenty of hyena tracks. Beefalo tracks. Gorgeous, Andrew. It's very artistic of you for this early in the morning. Definitely been plenty of buffalo on this road during the night. So I can see the tree where she was yesterday, just off in there. But she's not there. So we'll just do a quick drive through and see if she isn't on the ground somewhere near. So when you're looking for leopards, and they are not the easiest things in the world to look for, especially in the vegetations like this, much like with lions, what you want to look for is the pale white of the underside, or the inner legs, or the pale white of the tail, just a flash, or maybe a black spot or two. But it's mainly the white on the leopards that are the most obvious things when they're lurking through the bush here. So, and if we can just pan through here, I can tell you there's definitely no leopard there. And that's because there's a duiker standing just about underneath the tree where she was. We'll just drive in there quickly and see, and that might be the stupidest duiker in the world, in which case the leopard might be there, but I don't think it is. You don't survive to adulthood as a duiker if you're a bit gormless. We'll just drive slowly in here. I don't see her tracks on the road, so she may have gone out the other side. Definitely gone, and she's taken the last bit of meat was the head of the bushbuck that was in the tree there. Just have a quick look there, and that head is gone. So she's pressed on to wherever she has. I'm not sure where she would have gone actually. We'll carry on down this road to the east. I think she came sort of from the east, so she's been hanging around in this area. And I think that's actually why it's taken me so long to meet her. For those of you who don't know, this is a very famous wild earth leopard that we saw here yesterday. And she, I hadn't seen her. In the 5 weeks that I've been here, I hadn't seen her. And I suspect she's in this area quite a lot these days. it's very thick and there are not a lot of roads, so she gets quite a lot of peace through here. And I think she's probably using this as the core of her territory at the moment. There are lots of suspicions that she might be pregnant, which is very exciting indeed. Right, so not here right now. We're going to go down the road and see if we can't pick up her tracks. Andrew, do not be knocked off the vehicle by a tree by reverse. Especially that one. Okay, Andrew is still present and correct. Right, out onto the road. There is a large hole here, which I'm going to try and avoid. If I don't, I'm sorry. We avoided it. So, we have hyena tracks on the road. But no leopard. If I find a decent hyena track for you to look at, I'll show you.
Copy, perfect. Welcome back, everyone, and look at what a pleasant surprise we have for you. It's a beautiful female leopard called Shadow, and we were alerted to her presence by one lone impala that was alarm calling at her, and we drove into the area where the alarm calls were, and we initially couldn't find her, but then some small birds were letting off alarm calls that led us closer to her and kept us in touch of where she was moving. And actually Jeandre spotted us, so thanks to Jeandre for sealing the deal for us. Now we have the tricky job of trying to follow her through this thick bush. We don't want to impact on her morning, so we're going to try and keep a fair distance between us and her while she moves along. As you can see, it's quite thick. As I off-road through this area, I'm only driving over trees like this one, but I know we'll pop straight back up once we have continued past. Jeandre, do you remember where she was heading? I lost track. Okay. Here, motionless. He's heading more to the left. Beautiful. Well, what a luck it was that we managed to find her. We had a lot of her tracks actually. I'm fairly certain they were her tracks in the general area where we did bump into her, but to be completely honest, most of the tracks that we found, and I'm fairly certain it was her, simply judging by the area that we found them in, but she must have been covering a lot of distance over the last 12 hours or so. She was seen by the Arethusa guides yesterday afternoon with Sindila, her male cub of about a year of age now. And what she'll often have to do is go and collect him from where she's left him. Oh, she's chasing after something. So I'm just going to stop. A bit more to the right, Jandre. In the open grassy clearing, straight ahead. There we go. She was darting from side to side, which made it difficult for Jandre to know where she was. Even I was lucky to spot her there. And she's very intent on something. She's flattening herself to the ground. There's a lot of steenbuck that move through this area. And I'm guessing that's what it could be that she's seen. Now, I know you can't see very well. Genre is at full zoom. But we want to try and keep our distance and not interfere in this hunt in any way. You can still vaguely see her slinking as quietly and carefully as she can through the undergrowth. I'm just going to pop forward a meter or two, and that will give us a decent view. It's tricky because she's darting ahead and looking straight, so as we get her in view she disappears off a little bit, but this spot over here I think is going to be our best bet for the time being. It's incredible to see how well she camouflages and blends in with the surroundings, and if you didn't know she was here right now, it would be difficult to spot her. You can see how she's bobbing her head up from side to side, trying to listen as well as see whatever potential prey lies up ahead. I'm guessing the prey has been moving. Judging by her behavior, she's moved quite a large distance in a very short space of time, which indicates to me that her prey could be on the move. It looks like she's just sat down now, and it's not uncommon for leopards to stop and assess a situation and a scenario before blundering straight into it and ruining a potential hunt. So we could expect that she may be seated here for quite a while, just making sure she knows exactly what's going on, trying to calculate and fine-tune a plan of attack before she moves forward. Leopards have to be incredibly close to their prey before they pounce. 4 or 5 meters, which is exceptionally close, is the ideal distance that they will start their or launch their attack from. Anything further than that is too far away. The prey are designed and adapted to escape the predators, and it's really difficult for them. They probably only succeed about 10 to 20% of the time when they are hunting. So she'll be trying now to think about how she can somehow get a little bit closer to the prey. She still hasn't moved, keeping an eye on her, but she certainly is still very intent on whatever it could be that lies up ahead. As Jeandre zooms in, you'll notice again how well she blends into her surroundings. You'll also notice that there's a slight breeze. You can see the leaves and blades of grass blowing gently in the wind. The wind is blowing kind of towards us, but from right to left. So in her favor. She appears to have even flattened herself a bit closer to the ground now. These scenarios are always very tricky for us, and we want to show you as much as possible. But at the same time, we do not want to interfere and give away her position to the prey, or chase the prey away from her. While we sit and wait here, there's some really exciting news I've heard on the radio, and the Birmingham Boys, a coalition of 5 young male lions, or youngish male lions, they're not quite in their prime yet, are back in the area. They spent a lot of time on Djuma over November and December, but since then they've been spending a lot of time further north in the Manyeleti Reserve. But now they're on Buffelshoek, which is just north of us, and who knows, maybe this afternoon or this evening they could come onto our property. So that's exciting prospects. And something else that happened this morning is that the Styx lioness were also found, 2 females with 3 young cubs. The cubs were not present, and it looks like their mothers had managed to make a kill on Arethusa last night, and they were heading back towards the cubs, which sadly were left on a property where we cannot go, but not too far from us. So good prospects to the north and south of us with lion. Well, we've just got a question through from Safari. Good morning and welcome on board with us. Safari would like to know whether we're on Djuma or Arethusa. And Safari is asking that question because she obviously knows that Shadow, this female leopard that we are looking at, tends to spend time on both properties, and it's only recently that she's actually started spending more time here on Djuma. So we're not entirely sure why she's spending more time here, but we believe, one theory at least, is because a dominant male called the Anderson male is pushing in to Arethusa. She runs the risk of losing her cub Sindile to that male. If that male found Sindile, he would kill him in order to release Shadow of her responsibility of raising him, and that way he could mate with her. So I think that's why she's pushing further east towards Djuma, away from where the Anderson male is putting pressure on Tingana, which is her cub's father. And it's great for us. We're certainly enjoying having her on Djuma more often, and we tend to find her in the same area around Impala Plains. I'm just going to creep forward a meter or two because she seems to have stopped completely. Well, good morning, James, and welcome on board with us. James would like to know if Shadow is the daughter of a leopard called Halftail. No, she's not, James. She's the daughter of Karula. the same leopard that James managed to find for you yesterday afternoon with the bushbuck kill. So I'm going to still keep talking you through this. She's directly in front of our vehicle now, still poised, stopping, listening, and I've yet to see what it could be that she is hunting. I'm still confident it's a steenbuck, a very small antelope, and if anything does happen, I can assure you that we are recording everything and we'll be sure to show you the highlights. And don't go anywhere. I'm sure our technical geniuses, either Eugene or Alex, both who are probably trying to solve the problem here, are going to have the issue fixed as soon as possible. I'm beginning to lose visual of her as she's heading into some quite thick vegetation now, but she is still very intense on something up ahead, and we're going to keep following her and see what happens. morning, Tula, and I love the comment that you've made. And Tula mentioned that this is a radio safari, and I guess we can just turn back the clocks a little bit to before, when we had TV and when everyone used to listen to the radio for entertainment, and we can, I guess, be grateful for the people who have invented all the fine technology which allows us to see what we see and do what we do today. But I do appreciate your humor there, Tula, and a window of opportunity to film her again. But it is tricky through this thick bush. And again, we're trying our best to keep as far away from her as possible in order to not interfere on her plans for the morning. We've lost visual of her now, and it's still very thick, so we're just going to have to reposition once again. Well, Chandra, I did just see something small dart off to the left, which could well have been the steenbuck that she's trying to chase down. And again, apologies for the no picture, but at least you've got our audio, and don't go anywhere. We'll hopefully have this problem solved, and when we do, you're going to be in for a treat, because this female leopard is on the hunt, and we've still got a long time left on drive, so I don't think we're going to leave her until the end of this sunrise safari. Interesting, it's not the first time I've seen her hunting steenbok, so it's possibly a prey item that she has developed a knack of hunting, and I've actually only seen With the few kills, the first kill I saw with was a young impala kill, but that was way back in January or February this year. But I think she does prefer smaller prey like duiker and steenbok. They're easier to hoist up trees away from hyena. An adult impala will be a little bit more tricky for her to get up into a tree, although she can do it. It may not be very easy. Now she's paused again, looking in the direction where Gendre saw a fleeting glimpse of something darting off. And again now she's assessing the situation and trying to establish what to do next. I find it quite surprising that she's pursued this same animal, because often with predators, once they've lost the element of surprise, they'll often give up on that animal and search for something that doesn't know they're trying to be caught, because once prey do know that there's danger in the area, it becomes very difficult, almost impossible for the predators to latch onto them. And it sounds like a few of you have got picture back, depending on which platform you are watching. So I'm happy to hear that some of you can see her now, and as you can see, she's poised and very alert. Her tail now not twitching as excitedly as it was earlier, but still showing some signs of excitement. This morning's behavior will help you to realize, look at how carefully she's placing that paw down. She might be very close to this prey, and the reason why we can't see it is a combination of things. Steenbok are small and this bush is thick. Again, as Gendre zooms out ever so slightly, it's incredible to see how well she blends in with her surroundings. And aren't we all so lucky to be sharing this together? It's great to have you all with us. And now she continues with the utmost caution, trying to be as silent as possible. Well, now she's just laid down, and this is also not uncommon for leopard. They will often get close to prey and then lie down and often even fall asleep and wake up later with the prey having moved off. So as good as they can be at hunting, they sometimes surprise us with the techniques they decide to use. It is also important to bear in mind that she's been on this specific hunt for quite some time now, and she would have been exerting a lot of energy, crouching, pausing, and will probably need a small breather. What we're going to do while she does relax is just reposition ever so slightly so we can get a better view of her. Well, Rena and John, welcome on board, and they're both interested to know where is Cinderella, her cub. It's a good question, I'm not too sure. She's just got up again. And I'm not too sure what to do. It's really tricky in these scenarios as to what our next move should be. But we'll just wait here for now. But sadly, I don't have a clue where Sindile is. They were seen together yesterday afternoon, heading towards Djuma. But this morning there's been no sign of them. She could have left him in an area where I know she's left him before, just judging from where we found her this morning. And we found her very close to the Arathusa and Djuma boundary, so it could be either in Djuma or on Arathusa, but I've got an idea of where he could be roughly. But the best way for us to find him now would be for us to follow her back to him. And that's not necessarily going to happen unless she makes a kill. She would comfortably leave him for up to 24 hours. At his age, he can fend for himself and survive for that period of time with ease, as she goes out and performs a very important job of finding their next meal. A lot of you may be concerned as to how long she will leave him away for, but now he's close on a year on age and has done well to survive this far. You can imagine when they're much smaller, just a few months old, and certainly not nearly as capable as he is now, leopards still have to leave their cubs, even from a tiny age, to go out and hunt, and they can often leave them for long periods of time. Well, she deserves a bit of a break, and it looks like she's taking some time out now. Not a bad move on her behalf. She knows there's some potential prey in the area, but by stopping for a while, regaining her energy, it will hopefully allow that prey item to somewhat relax and calm down, and that way a little bit later she could launch another attack. While she does lie here and wait though, we are going to try and get you a slightly better view, so hold on a second. While we're watching this pretty leopard take some time to relax and get her breath back, we've got a question from Angie. And Angie's interested to know a little bit more about the Birmingham Boys, a coalition of 5 male lion that I spoke about a little bit earlier. They are not far from our northern boundary and haven't been in the area for about 4 months, I think it's safe to say. So it's good to have them back in the area, and hopefully they'll come on to Djuma sometime this evening or in the next few days. And Angie's interested to know whether or not they would possibly accept Junior, the young male from the Nkuhuma Pride, into their coalition. My initial thoughts are no, Angie. The 5 of them have spent a lot of time together, and if 5 of them found Junior, the excitement and tension that they would build up amongst the 5 of them would, I think, result in them killing him. If there was less of them, there would be a better chance of Junior being accepted. But that's just my opinion, and I could be very wrong. They could welcome him with open arms. It's not uncommon for coalitions of lion to be 6 or 7 strong. Well, I lied. It's not common for that to happen, but it can happen. So it's not unheard of to have very large coalitions, and there is a chance that it could happen, Angie, but I fear that Junior will get killed if the 5 of them get a hold of him. Well, isn't this interesting to witness how just moments ago we had this leopardess hunting very intently for quite some time, and now, like I mentioned earlier, they can sometimes just roll over and go to sleep once they've realized that it's not the best option. It's also remarkable how relaxed these animals are with us in the presence of the vehicles. It's something that James touched on last night, and we're incredibly lucky to be able to view, especially leopard, out of all the animals that occur here, at such close proximity, without them fleeing from us or being scared from us. They are naturally such shy and elusive animals that many reserves will have healthy leopard populations, but leopard sightings are few and far between because the leopards simply do not allow us to find them. Here, though, with a lot of careful management and good guiding practice over the last 50 years or so, coming on 60 years, the Sabi Sands has built up a great reputation with the leopards and the guides that work these areas, and that allows for some incredible viewing. We're probably only about 5 meters from this leopard at the moment, the same distance that she would need to be in before she would pounce on any potential prey. Well, we just got a question through from Liz in Wisconsin. Good morning, Liz, and good to have you on board with us. Liz is interested to know, despite how habituated the leopard are in this area, in terms of our impact on them, can they hear us, can they smell us? Yes, Liz, they certainly can hear us and smell us if the wind is in the right direction. But the thing is, they know our sounds, and they associate the noises that we make as a kind of neutral noise. It doesn't mean they have to be scared. It doesn't mean there's potential food. We've fitted into this ecosystem in a very strange position where we're almost invisible. Even though we can make a noise, it's of no concern or no relevance to her. So she can most certainly hear us, and she would have heard our vehicle long before we found her this morning. She's having a quick look at us now. Almost perfect timing, you could say. As we're talking about what she can and can't share, she may be having some thoughts of her own. But Liz, as we continue the Safari Live shows, take note of when we often arrive into a sighting when lion or leopard may be sleeping. They sometimes don't even lift up their head to acknowledge us that we've arrived. And that goes to show that just from hearing us, they know exactly what we are. We don't mean any trouble, and they can continue sleeping without even opening an eye. Okay, folks, well, while we wait here for Shadow to start her next move, what we're going to do is send you back across to James. I'm sure you're all interested to know what he's been up to for the last hour or so, and he might have a story or two. Well, I can almost guarantee you he's got something entertaining for you. He's such good fun, and enjoy what he has in store. We'll see you a bit later.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Giga. Sorry about the issues we've been having. Nothing we can do out here. I've just had a fascinating interaction. We found Karula's tracks coming basically from the westish over there, going east, and then we drove the boundary and they didn't come across the boundary. So I've just been for a walk through this block here while you were down probably boiling your kettles or having your evening meals or having your breakfast, depending on where you are in the world. And I heard some squirrels alarm calling, and so I walked towards them, and 2 hyenas exploded out of the ground, and I'm not sure what they were doing there. But interestingly, one of them ran off, but the other just lurked. And I stopped looking for them, and I kept looking around for leopard tracks and seeing what I could find. And as I was going along, I looked up, and she was looking at me from about 20 meters away. And normally hyenas will run away almost immediately. And this one didn't. And so I just kept walking at her, and she stopped and she looked, and so I clapped my hands, and she went around a termite mound. And I kept going, and I broke off a stick because I started to get a little bit worried, a little bit on edge. And she came around the termite mound and looked, so I hit another tree and shouted the universal, it's an amazing word this, it's a word that, an Afrikaans word, and I'll shout it out for you. It goes, "Vertrek!" And basically it means go away, quickly. It's not particularly rude, but it has a, if somebody said that to you, you'd know exactly what they meant. And I said that to the hyena, and it did know exactly what I meant, and it disappeared off down into the drainage line here. So I'm not sure what exactly is going on in here. My impression is that Karula is around this vicinity somewhere, and so there were further squirrel alarm calling just up here, and so I'm going to just drive along slowly. We're going to drive along a little bit, turn off, drive along a little bit, turn off, and just listen carefully. Her tracks are not on the road, they haven't crossed the boundary. Leopards, as my old friend Corbus used to say, they can fly, James. So sometimes they do tend to get across the roads without us noticing. But I don't know, I get the impression she's around here. Maybe not. Let's see. At least you've had a wonderful time with Scott. I believe he was reduced to narrating the leopard's hunt to you, which must have been an interesting experience for all concerned. So if you ever find yourself faced with a dog, a shark, a wild animal of any, a bear perhaps, a wolf, you now know the word to use, the universal word to make it go away, and that's Hello, Rudy in California. We're just going to stop here while I answer your question and look around and have a listen. Andrew, pay attention, don't go to sleep there. Rudy, nice question. When we go tracking in the mornings, do we go to where we've last seen the animal and try and follow up from there, or will we just try and pick up fresh tracks somewhere else? Depends on the animal, depends on the situation. So with Karula, that was exactly what we did. We came to where we last saw her and tried to follow from there. A leopard will move quite a distance at night, and so, yeah, I was always kind of suspicious that I thought we'd find her tracks. Whether we'd find her again, I'm still in two minds. They do walk quite substantial differences. With something like a lion pride, Yeah, to go to where they were before, if you know they've eaten, then, like, in fact, 2 days ago, exactly like what they did with the Djuma Pride, we know they were fat, so you can just go to where they left off. You do start to be quite intuitive about it and try and see. So if they haven't eaten and they were on the move, like they were last night, for example, you'll start being quite intuitive. So you don't start off where you left them. You'll go around to where you think they may have gone and see if you can pick up the tracks and work your way back to where you last saw them, because of the distances they move at night. Now remember, when you're tracking something, you're moving much more slowly than the animal that's actually walking, unless you're a serious expert. You can do it with a rhino. Rhino are quite easy to track, and that's one of their problems in the great fight against poaching, is that they're pretty easy to find. If you find their tracks on a road, they leave a very obvious path through the grass, more so than elephants do, which is because elephants pick their feet up and rhino tend to just drag their feet. But leopards and lions, obviously, much more difficult to see the tracks, so it's a much slower following process. And, you know, we've got 3 hours on a game drive like this. If the leopard walked past here 2 hours ago, even an hour ago, the chances of us catching up with her by following track for track are actually quite small, unless she stopped to kill something. If she's been walking, if she carries on walking, we'll never catch her until, you know, in that time frame. Nice question, Rudy. Thank you. I can't hear the squirrels around here have stopped alarm calling now, but we'll keep driving slowly along here. The general direction of her tracks was into this block and somewhere around here. There is a chance that I missed them crossing the boundary to the east. It's not far from here. There was quite a lot of activity on the road at night from Buffalo. Those lions have crossed out. The Djuma Pride came exactly across here, through this block, and out into Torchwood, which is the next door reserve. So our next obvious port of call, while we're searching in the tops of the trees, is going to be Buffalo's Hook Waterhole. And we'll just see what's popped out there during the night. Here are tracks of those 2 hyenas. I'd like to see those cheeky things again. The leopard definitely has not popped out here. Yesterday, VM spotted her lurking in the top of that tree, and you get very stuck on looking at the tracks, and you walk along with the tracks and drive along and look under the bushes, and sometimes they can be sitting just above you. Not this time, though. Alas. Andrew, do you see any tracks?
The negative.